Good evening. Good evening. 1 minute before we start. 1 minute before we start. 1 minute before we start. 1 minute. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. My name is Rufus Carpenter, host, and with co-host Glenda Driver. Good evening. Welcome to Sunday night at 9 p.m., where we have a good time every Sunday night at 9 o'clock. We open up and have live Zoom discussions about relationships and relationship topics. Now, remember, you can get in as much as you want to, or as little as you want to. You can open your mic up and be a part of the discussion, or you can just sit back, relax, and listen. But it's all fun. Okay, I'm Rufus Carpenter. My background in this space is a little different than most. My background started on a journey in a one 3-bedroom house with one bathroom with 14 siblings. And can you imagine sharing a bed with 4 siblings? And what do you do in the occasional bedwetter? It was quite interesting. From this humble beginning, I learned a lot about the human connection, Then push forward to, I was married for 27 years to the same lady. And if you know anything about being married for 27 years, you learn a thing or two about trust, commitment, relationship, communication, and the things that take the thick and thin are the things that make it work. But these things weren't so much for a successful marriage, but they were to get to know the human connection. But my background didn't stop there. I was in the United States Army, and I was trained to be what's called a race relation leader, where I had to work with all of the relationship problems in my unit. And I'd be the first person to take the intake forms and discuss what was the next course of action. There, I learned about relationship and the human connection in some very diverse environments. That was a great time, and I learned a lot. So I believe I'm more than qualified to have this conversation with you tonight, and especially to bring the male perspective. Tonight's topic is cheating for survival in relationships. Once again, cheating for survival in relationships. Now, I struggle with this one a little bit because this is quite different than what we mostly talk about. Because we talk about love languages, we talk about trust, we talk about communication, we talk about self-care, self-love, we talk about all these things, but this is the first time we had something like this, cheating for survival in relationships. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean, cheating for survival in relationship? First, when I first started this topic, looking for this topic, there wasn't much in way of the topic the way it was written. But when I went deep into it, oh, Coach Glenda, geez, that's what I found, girl. This is the real heart of the subject. As a matter of fact, I want to first acknowledge that this is something that's very sensitive and have a lot of multifaceted parts in nature of this issue. Now, first, have you ever heard of or experienced a situation where cheating was justified as a means of survival in a relationship? Have you, Coach Glenda? You said no, Coach Glenda? Hey, Angela, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? Hey, Laura, how you doing? Glad to have you guys on tonight. And here's the first question we want to start with. Have you ever heard of or experienced a situation where cheating was justified as a means of survival in a relationship?
No.
No? Well,
No.
I have. But we're gonna talk about that later on as we go in. As we talk about this, we're gonna talk about that more and more and more. As a matter of fact, this topic was brought up last week when we were having our discussions. And this is one of the topics that came up towards the end of the discussion. So we decided to table it this week. And I'm kind of glad we did, because this is a barn burner. This is a real interesting subject. When you talk about this subject, you got to realize something first. Everything about a relationship has a reason. Now, when you think about it, one of the things that struck me very first about this is the dual desires. Now, what I'm talking about, the dual desires, there are people that love the stability and the commitment of being in a full-time relationship with somebody, but at the same time, they go out and look for someone else. They want that comfort of knowing that they got somebody home that they can come back home to. At the same time, they want to go out and justify being with someone else. That's quite interesting. That is quite interesting. Is there ever a justification for that? And then first is if it's not a justification, or if it is a justification, what's the cost on the relationship? If I had a desire that I want to be in my relationship, I love my boo. Me and my boo, we have a great time. But there's something missing. So if I go out and get that's missing, what is the cost of the relationship? Anybody want to chime in on that? Any of our hosts, any of our guests want to chime in on that night? Because we appreciate you being here tonight. Anybody want to tackle that?
So, Mr. Carpenter, what is your question again? Repeat the question one more time.
I'm talking about the dual desire. You have someone that's in a committed relationship and they love the stability of it, but at the same time they want to go out and seek others. They want to go out and cheat. So what are your thoughts about that? Who want to open up on that first? That's our first stop on this journey tonight. cheating for survival in a relationship. Anybody want to answer that? Angela.
Andreas.
Well, you're talking about. Go ahead, Glenda.
Okay, I'm sorry. Andreas having a problem. He said he can't unmute. Is there something you could do on your end, Mr. Carpenter?
Let's see if I can unmute him.
But you can go ahead, Angela. I apologize for interrupting you.
Oh, that's okay. I was saying a dual desire. Well, why is it that I understand you want the stability of others, but why can't you, whatever else it is that you're desiring, what's the problem that it can't be cultivated with the person, the woman or the man that you want that stability with? What's the issue? It sounds like the person that want to have this dual desire is the problem. They have some issues that need to be dealt with.
Correct.
I agree. There's something missing, because if you are supposed to be in a committed relationship and you're still seeking intimacy or even finance. What'd you say?
There's nothing I do on my end for Andre. Andre, there's nothing I can do on my end. It's on your end.
Okay, he's trying to come back in. Hold on.
Okay.
And he's using a different device. Andre, you okay?
Yeah, same thing on this one.
Okay. No, he's
okay. I can unmute on this one.
Okay, great, good, Andre. Good, nice to have you in.
All right, Andre, I don't know if you heard the question, but the question was the desire. Someone has a dual desire. They're in a committed relationship right now with someone, and they love the stability of that, but at the same time, they want to go outside the relationship for other stuff. And the question is there ever justification to have both?
I will say this, suppose it's for work though.
Huh?
Suppose it's for work, and I'll to justify my point of what I'm thinking, I was reading this Facebook post the other day. A content creator, a female, she inboxed this man, right? Well, the man's girlfriend says, don't inbox my man or whatever. Well, she, her and the content creator and the girl, they have a back and forth. Well, then the second girl decides to inbox her husband. Well, her husband says, oh, I already know she does that. That's what she does for work. So he was comfortable with her inboxing other men because that's her job as a content creator. Well, because the second woman would not let it go, he decides to go talk to what we thought was her husband. And the other guy that she was with did not identify her as his wife. So it's almost like she thought they were in a relationship that they were not. So I began to think about the cheating for survival. He's telling her all these things she needs to hear because he needs a place to stay.
Mm-hmm. Now, I gotta tell you, cheating is not always sex now. Cheating is sometimes the energy you should have at home, you're putting in the street. Sometimes if you're giving 70% at home and 30% in the street, and you may not be having sex, but that's still, some people still consider that as cheating.
Right.
Because there's an energy you can give at home. So realize that. So, because what costs? Because even if you're not having sex with somebody, but you're spending 30% of your time away from your house, and your significant other misses you and wants you there, and that time is so noticeable, is that cheating?
Yes. I don't care which way you turn it, which way you flip it. It's cheating. So it goes, what would you want done? What, it goes back to integrity. What would you want?
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Like you want to be treated.
Correct. The golden rule.
Right.
Or either cut the ties, get on up the road, go get comfortable somewhere else.
But see, a lot of men and women, when they're in those scenarios, they want their cake and they want to eat it too. So it's like, I'm good over here, but I'm good over there. It's like, I can have my cake and eat it too. I have the best of both worlds. But at the same time, you're right. It is cheating, even if it's not sexual. Because Andre put in the chat, it says, is it cheating if your partner is paying for another household and not telling you about it? Absolutely. Because that's money that you could be keeping in your own household, especially if you're living with someone, married or cohabitating. It's still cheating. Yeah, I know some people say, well, it's my money, I can do what I want to, but you think about it, if it's something that you can't share with your partner or your significant other, it's something wrong with it, because you already know mentally, if I tell my girl this or if I tell my dude this, they're gonna spaz out.
Yeah. Tonight is going to be interesting because almost every one of these topics we're going to talk about is similar to this. Because Andre, he hit on something really good when he had this subject. I didn't realize this subject was this inclusive, because one of the first things you need to realize something, that you're in a partnership. Your partnership, you guys are committed together. If you're committed together, you go through things together. Glenda, you're smiling, huh? You want to share it?
No, well, actually, yes, I can, because it's in the chat. Andre says, well, Monique has an open marriage, so if her husband buys a sugar boo, she's okay. And then he goes on to say, well, honestly, don't we all know someone who is with a person who is freeloading? Absolutely.
Yeah, I read, well, someone sent me something today, and it read about sugar babies and sugar mamas and sugar daddies. But that's in line with what we're doing right now. We're gonna cover that a little further down. But before the next topic is unfulfilled needs. And this is about scenario where you have an emotional or physical need that's not being met in your marriage. And the implications should you seek it outside of your marriage?
No, you go get you some counseling, or you talk with the individual and see if you all can get on the same page. Right. And if you can't, just call it quits.
Cut your ties.
Move on. Cut the ties.
Well, what happened to that better for worse unconditional love?
It's not unconditional. I mean,
better. Broke it. You broke the commitment. What are you talking about, Mr. Carpenter? Where you at?
Right.
Now, everything isn't break up. Counseling, they got professional counselors and therapists.
Yeah, but if counseling is not working, and you refuse to let God to fix the issue, then break up. Get on up the road. Yeah. You go left and right. That's it. Right. No problem. Take it with you. Go to the next one.
Andre says divorce is not acceptable And he said, in my Jada Pinkett voice. So what? I mean, I don't understand that, Andre. What you mean divorce is not acceptable? I
Well,
don't
as a man, if in my Jada Pinkett voice, if he says it's not acceptable, he's not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Like I actually, and I know this as a true story, so I can speak to this. There was a man who moved in with his wife. It was her house. It was left to her. Well, she wanted a divorce. He didn't want one. Well, instead of her kicking him out of her house that was inherited to her, she decided to get an apartment because he wouldn't leave. She's a Christian woman, so she didn't want to mess. I guess she didn't want to be mean, so she left the house that was inherited to her. So to me, I'm like, you gave up all that you had, but you lost out, even though I guess she wasn't happy either. So,
Well, I know that same actual scenario. A good friend of mine, and she moved out of their house. It wasn't an inherited house; it was their house together. So just to have peace, the peace of mind, because see, peace you can't buy. Peace you can't buy, and I want peace.
Amen.
And God wants us to have peace, even when it comes to a relationship.
Correct.
And if it can't be fixed, if they don't want to comply, you just go left. You go left and you go right. I love you, but I will love you at a distance.
Now, can you love them at a distance without divorce?
But what if somebody else come along? They're still connected.
I could, but I'm not going to, because if it's time for me to move on, I wouldn't be positioned to move on.
Now, let me share this in my life, because I married young. I got married 18 years old, and my wife, I think she was a great woman to the point where she gave me a chance to grow up. Because when I got married at 18, she was 5 years older than me, and there's a lot of things I didn't know or realize. So if she would have put me away from the beginning, we wouldn't have lasted 27 years. So she gave me a chance to grow up and learn what being married and responsibility of marriage really were. And I thank her for that. So is that,
and you did grow up and you still divorced, right?
Yeah, I divorced, but I didn't. I divorced, but the divorce wasn't I'm trying to say this the right way. Divorce was more of a communication issue versus compatibility of a love issue.
Okay.
So is there such a thing as unconditional love?
It has conditions, sounds like.
Say that again, Andre.
I said it sounds like you guys are putting conditions, because as men, I don't think we put those conditions as strong.
Right, but on the other side, you want to stay with the have my cake and eat it too, and it don't work like that. It just don't. I mean, some people settle for that. Some women settle for that. Right. But a real woman that know who she is and who she belongs to, that don't fly. So, and you can't make wrong right.
With Monique, so would we define Monique as a real woman because she has an open marriage?
There's a problem. Monique has an issue that needs to be settled. That's the bottom line. I don't care which way you flip it. You can't make wrong right. You can't go against it.
Hey guys, the night's gonna be a rough one, because I got about 9 more bullets, and each one of these bullets kind of feed into that same scenario. So I guess my question is the marriage vows that used to be said. I don't know what's said now, because what used to be said, better or worse.
Right.
But you guys sound like it's only better. The worse, you got it all by yourself.
Oh, and Mr. Carpenter, that's not it.
You're coming from a man's perspective,
right?
Mm-hmm. And and not a. I don't want to say okay. You're coming from a man's perspective, mm-hmm. And I still say at the end of that, you want to have your cake and eat it too.
The women used to be more receptive and more nurturing and forgiving than men, but seems like this thing has flipped.
That's right. You know why?
Why? You want to share? Care to share?
No, I don't care to share.
Andre, you're gonna have to take yourself off mute and say speak on your last post.
What I was saying is, I'm sure we all know of a big mama who had a pawpaw who had a mistress around the corner and a whole family. Now the reality is we may not like that this is reality, but it happens. Like my great grandfather, for example, he had 22 children by 2 women. Now I'm sure they had to know of each other because I don't know which is my uncles and aunts because they all 22. I don't know which is which.
That's interesting.
Okay,
That
so
is
they did
interesting.
it, but that didn't make it right. No, he had an issue.
And a lot of stuff we're gonna cover tonight is not so much making it right, but these are and I'm glad we're covering this tonight because these are the reasons why people cheat. So these are the things and factors we have to look at and be actively working with and communicate, because these are the things that actually happen every day. We're seeing it. You seeing it. I'm seeing it. And these are the things that we have to discuss in order to educate, to be aware, and to work around this. Not so much working around it, but to actually have systems in place to deal with this. Now, the next one on this
In
is
other words, to decide whether or not you want to settle for that.
correct.
That's the bottom line. Decide whether or not you want to settle for the nonsense and the shenanigans.
But Mr. Carper, when you're thinking about, when I go back and think about what Andre had stated back in the 60s, those women didn't have a lot of choices. And some of I've heard of a similar scenario, and the man had, a whole bunch of kids by, women that live close by, and they probably didn't know about each other. Well, I don't know how he did it, but he took care of both households. But men today, they're not trying to do that. If they have established a wife and kids right here, once they start cheating, they're gonna slack up somewhere, because most men nowadays don't want to work 2 to 3 jobs to take care of all their kids. It's a struggle just to take them to court for child support, and these are your kids. Men aren't the same type of men back in the day. Men back in the day, they'll whoop you, still keep the roof over your head, and they'll still cheat on you, and you better not go anywhere. And women didn't have choices because they were limited with their education, and they were stuck having baby after baby. As soon as they pop one out, another one goes in. So I think that also has a lot to do with it. Back then, women didn't have choices, and then some days, today, I've even heard on previous Zoom calls that we've had, I've heard women say, even in their testimonies on our website, where they said they didn't know, they didn't have the help. They didn't know they could leave. They felt like they were stuck. So I think that is one of the missing pieces. People tolerate bad behaviors and, their man or their spouse or their woman cheating on them for whatever reason, whether it's for extra money to come in the house. Well, he makes sure the roof is over my head, but he can't put Michael Kors on my shoulder or get my hair and my nails done every 2 weeks. For whatever reason, it doesn't make the wrong right. It's just like something is missing at home. Maybe your boo needs to pick up another job.
You guys covered a lot, and I see this is some active discussion. So thank you for getting involved. I appreciate everybody's comment. The next one is, since Glenda said something about finance, next one's financial infidelity. And where financial strain is on one partner to engage in a relationship for monetary benefit, where one partner is feeling the strain so bad that they feel they want to explore out to help bring in some income. So
I think that's wrong. And that's still wrong.
Yeah, so
that's wrong.
Explore. So
there's no right about that. I don't care which way you flip that.
What is the ethical and emotional complexities of that? If a person feel like the financial infidelity, where that one person has a strain, that one partner engaged in relationship for monetary benefits, and that and what it's saying is one partner go out and have relationships to bring more money into your household. Anybody want to cover that? Laura, we have anything for you tonight. Laura, you with us? Laura, you there?
I am here. I'm just a little bit confused by that last question there.
Okay, let me restate it. Okay, discuss cases where financial strain leads one partner to engage in a relationship for monetary benefits. And what is the ethical and emotional complexities of that? You got one partner realize that, hey, look, shoot, let's say that one partner, let's say, we're gonna say, since it's all women, let's say one their partner is a real pretty, beautiful lady. So her husband say, hey, look, hey, you gotta go out.
I don't care which way, whether it's on the female or whether it's on the male. There's a problem. I think if the male do it, you're less than a man. I think if the woman do it, you're less than a woman. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and that's ethical. You're right. The emotional complexities on that, because I think if I knew my boo or my spouse went out and did that, I think I would struggle with that, because I would feel less than a man. So I would struggle with that. But I know some men that I know, to them, hey, it makes the world go round.
Now the woman to go and do that too, there's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
You way less, you way down there if you would even suggest that something is wrong. No, you go and get yourself 2 or 3 jobs, or
Amen.
either live within your means.
Girl, preach.
I mean that's the bottom line. You know, relationship is not that hard. Either you're gonna do right or you're not.
Okay.
And it's just as simple as that.
Right. Because you're playing with people's emotions
all the time.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we kind of.
I have a question.
That's the easy one,
Go
right?
ahead,
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
My question is, I get where y'all are going with this and where you're coming from, but if the people that are involved in this situation, if they're in agreement with it, right or wrong, to whomever is outside looking in, doesn't it make it okay if they're agreeing to what the situation is?
No.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I understand your opinion.
Okay.
It's not like I didn't understand it.
Let me share this with you. Last week we said what we analyzed person going outside of marriage. We saying that it's only cheating if the other person isn't aware. We kind of said that. Remember last week we said that the cheating, and when we identified what cheating was, and I wish I had my piece from last week, but it said the other spouse is not aware, because that's one of the parts we put as definition. The other spouse is not aware. And what Laura just said, if both spouses are agree and let's do it, isn't that what you say? Is that what you're saying, Laura?
That is what I'm saying.
All right, what are some of the emotional complexities of that? Is it ethical? Now, I think Angela, I think you said ethically is not right, Angela?
Ethically, it's not right, but even if you're in agreement with that, how can you really look at the other person or look at each other and feel like you can trust one another? How can you do that? I mean, I don't get it. Maybe something I'm missing. Maybe I'm from the old school.
That you're missing is not anything that you're missing. What it is that I'm looking at it from a different lens. Okay, so we know what we believe to be is right and wrong, but what everybody else think about right and wrong is not what we all believe.
Correct.
So the issue comes in, and I'm not justifying, what's ethically right depends on the eye of the beholder.
Well, he made it real clear. It's real clear when it comes to the eye of the beholder. You don't even have to talk about it. It's real clear.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
And that's why I'm glad we have these conversations, so you can bring it out. And that's good, because it's no right, well, it is a right or wrong in this, but we're not here to judge the right or wrong. What we're here is to give our own thoughts about it, to comment on it, because you may glean something from this conversation different than I may glean from it. I might find this conversation that's going to help me with a problem I'm having, or it might help me to counsel somebody down the road. I might be able to talk to somebody, hey, look, I was in a conversation one Sunday night, and this discussion came up, and here's some of the things we talked about. So this is great stuff. Now let's move to the next one, because the next one, we got a lot to cover, and we're already at 9:30. The next one is physical necessity. Physical necessity. And this is when you talk to me when one of the partners have a physical need that's perceived so crucial that it justifies infidelity. That their physical need is so crucial to them that it seems like it justifies their infidelity. Discuss whether or not this matter is survival or is it desire. Anybody want to tackle that one? Once again, we're talking about physical necessity. And the scenario is where one partner's physical need is perceived so crucial that it justifies infidelity. And what we want to talk about is whether this is a matter of survival or is this a desire?
I actually could speak on that. Like, I bought a book from a former first lady in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Her husband was a big pastor in Atlanta. She owned a daycare, and he brought his male mistress or mister and got him a job in her daycare. Of course, they're divorced now, but for the time when she found out, she tried to forgive him because he was a pastor. Mm-hmm. So in this case, she was trying to survive and keep her marriage and her church relationship together. But I think that his desire was so crucial because he wanted something she couldn't offer, which was the same sex. And it was kind of very interesting because I thought it was just an isolated situation until she wrote a book called The Gay Preacher's Wife. And then she talked about how many women out there stay in these relationships like that because they don't want to be this lonely, first lady.
Mm-hmm. They don't want to be what? Say that last part again.
They don't want to be correct.
As a matter of fact, let me couple this one. One further up is called hidden. The same one is called hidden identities, and it says delve into the challenges faced by individuals who cheat to explore their sexual identity. Focus on the pressures and the risks involved. What is saying somebody on the down low, whether it's a male or female, and they go in looking for other of their same sex because they have that desire. And that's how they identify themselves, but they're still undercover in their marriage. So that's what we're talking about right now. We just jumped to that one, where it says delve into the challenges faced by individuals who cheat to explore their sexual identity.
All of that is a deal breaker. I don't care if you're a pastor. I don't care if you're a priest. I don't care if you're a homemaker. It does not matter. They're deal breakers, and I'm going to run like Forrest. And I would suggest that you run because I love me. And if you have a problem and you decide to entertain that, because see, a toehold brings about a foothold, and the foothold brings about the stronghold. So they have chosen to continue along that path. I'm not giving you a chance to come back. I see you up the road. I will love you at a distance, and I will pray for you, and never look backwards.
And
you have to know who you are, because you don't settle for stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'd rather be lonely. I'd rather be by myself every day, all day, than to settle.
And this talk about the pressures and the risks involved, because it's in this day and time, people can just be out. You don't have to hide anymore. So if that's the case, why would a person want to hide that? Because when you hide, you put people at risk. And that's one of the things, hidden identities. And this is going back to that one we said, if both partners are aware, that's a different story. But this is a hidden, this is a hidden This is a hidden identity. So the hidden identity is a major issue. That's a major issue. So you're right, Angela, on this one. I think you're supposed to run like Forrest on this one. So that's
Even
and also,
even if it's open and you know about it, you still, because you put my life at risk and I didn't ask for this. You take yourself up the road. Do you boo, because I'm out.
Yeah, you're playing with somebody's livelihood. You know, you don't know
life and health.
Yeah, I mean, most people nowadays aren't practicing safe sex, and then you come back to your significant other. What are you bringing back? I mean, that you're playing with their life, they're somebody else's future. And then what if you already have children within your marriage or your relationship? You're messing with the kids. You're playing a mental game with the child, because eventually it's gonna come out. My take on the whole thing is if it's a deal breaker for you, if you can't deal with it, cut your losses, because some stuff is life threatening, and some challenges in life you don't even want any parts of. It's like that down low individual. I mean, if my dude ever said he wanted to try another drug, oh, okay, all right.
Well, you know what? It's the same thing though. Even if it's not the opposite sex, you're still playing Russian roulette, because everybody ain't clean.
Right.
Everybody, listen, a woman takes a deposit from a male.
Amen.
Deposit it there. You pick up a lot of spirits, and it's crucial. It's not play stuff.
It sure is. And the condom don't work all the time. And that's not even significant protection either at times. Like you said, their intimacy, you pass on spirits and germs and
everything else.
Fluids.
It is, and it's not really a joking matter.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? But they take it like it. They take it very lightly.
And I'm glad, and this is why I'm glad this subject came up, because there's just so much stuff here that we take for granted that that happens every day. And that's why this is important. We can talk about some of this stuff. As a matter of fact, our next one is a mental health and infidelity. And it says explore situations where mental health or one or both partners lead them to cheat. And it's a mental problem. What are the impacts of such action on a relationship? If one or both of you guys have mental problems where you just do it. Because I think there was a celebrity once that said he had a problem, he had a sexual problem, and that's why he kept getting caught.
Right, because he had an addiction. Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts about that? Talk to me about that action on a relationship. If you know your husband or wife is mentally unstable, and that's a reason why they do it. I think it was almost if somebody was on drugs. If they had
they need to take their medication for one thing.
Say that again.
Take your medication so you can be stable. If that would bring you into balance.
Because now with what's that stuff everybody's claiming to have? What's that? Oh man, I'm not saying they claim to have. Yeah, bipolar. Correct. Where they're manic in the mannequin stage, where they get
the manic and they go back and forth. Yeah, and it's real. Mm-hmm. That's really real. You got a lot of people walking around like that, and so that's why before go jumping into something, you better watch.
Amen.
You better watch. You better be observant.
Yeah, I saw a couple that go through that, and the wife, she loved that man so much that she really worked through it, and she went through so much stuff. Bless her heart. I saw her go through that. I had a chance to counsel her on some of that. So this one, I know first. I seen this one firsthand. It breaks a marriage and children, and the children involved. And when daddy's taking the medicine and doing well, the best thing in the world, but when daddy trip, it's a trip. So that one there. Let's move on. All right, now this one is stand for comfort when you desire more. let's say, the dilemma is you stay in a relationship for security or comfort, while emotional physical situation is not there somewhat. When you stay in a relationship because of comfort, I think you saying, I know him or her, I'll just stay here because it's comfortable. I know I should want more and go for more, but I'm comfortable, so I ain't doing nothing. I'm staying right here. And I've seen that.
Yeah, you
Honestly,
got
Mr.
a lot of
Carpenter,
different.
Who's speaking?
I was gonna say, honestly, it's if we really think about it, it's 22 degrees outside right now.
Uh-huh.
A man is not going to a homeless station when he can just go to the club and meet some beautiful girl who's gonna take him home. So even if he got a family at home, he's cheating for survival. It's cold outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cold.
When you in a relationship for security and comfort, and I think that's what a lot of older parents, my mother and father are older people, older than us, that older generation. I think that's why they stay together longer, for security and comfort. Because I see some of the stuff that was put up, because in my neighborhood, I was a kid, my dad used to fight my mama. The neighbor across the street, dad used to fight his mama. The lady up the street her and her husband used to fight, and they stayed together. They had knockdown, draws out, police come and grab one and pull one out, and the family just stayed together.
Right, and that was a different time. Like you said, women didn't have the education, they didn't have the jobs, and they had baby after baby.
Right.
But
Right.
even when they got to the point that the children were up and grown and gone, you may find a man and a woman stand together still for those same conveniences, because my Social Security check is not large enough. and so I'm going to stay here. At least it's comfortable.
Right.
And that's the next topic: financial dependency. Addressing issues with staying in a relationship primarily for the financial reason. The implication of seeking emotional, physical satisfaction elsewhere. Like, you're staying in a relationship because hey, financial reasons. But yet you seeking emotional and physical support elsewhere.
I will say, if we think about the whole concept of a cougar when it initially came out, you have a 40-year-old woman who may be dating a 21-year-old guy. He may not even have a job. He barely knows any skills, and she's the breadwinner taking care of him. And he's just there for survival when he really wants him another 20-year-old, but he has nowhere else to go.
Mm-hmm. So what's your point?
Tolerate that, but
so what's your point? I'm not impressed with a male and his organs.
Well, no, what I'm saying is,
I want happiness in a relationship.
But what I'm saying is,
settling.
But the cougar might be happy, because I remember one time, I'll never forget it, a student was talking to me, and he said to me that his mom had passed away. And mind you, I didn't know this, but he was an adult when he disclosed this. He said that we had no clue that his girlfriend was the one enrolling him in school. She was a grown lady enrolling him, and he was only 16. And we as the school had no clue. So he naturally knew how to survive, which I thought was kind of weird to me. I was like, you were 16 and you were doing this for survival.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I had a student, and he was a male and an older man. He, took him in. And, he was enrolled in school here in Chesapeake. And the same thing, it happens. Now, I'm not sure that he had those tendencies before, but a Pandora box was open.
Mm-hmm.
I felt sorry for him,
But I just wonder, how do we help people? Like, that's why I think this conversation to me was valid, because we see this, it's real. It's not like it's the pink elephant in the room. It's real. And the question is, how do we help other people understand that they are the pink elephant right now?
Well, if they're not talking about it, you can't help them. But you can, if the door is open, you can always let them know, well, that's not normal. That's not right, because if you're 16 and the person, or if you're 21, well, they're legal age, but at the same time, that's still not normal.
And
Right.
that's why we have these conversations, because a lot of times this stuff, it goes unnoticed. This stuff skims under the radar. And sometimes
Absolutely.
when you know this stuff, now that we talk about, we can be aware of this stuff, we can provide the help, we can provide the mentoring, we can provide the ministry to go out and help people. Because a lot of times when you see people in situations, what do? Do you clothe them? Do you feed them? Do you take them in? Do you carry them somewhere for shelter? A lot of missions are out there for them. I spent a part of a winter in Detroit, and I was so devastated. I didn't realize people had it so rough. People were living in old abandoned houses with no lights, and they will put sheets and stuff over the window, and they'll have candles inside for light, and it'd be so cold. And you ask them, why you don't go to a shelter? They don't want to go to a shelter because shelters are so mean. People beat them up, and cots have so much urine smell on them. So this is a rough time for a lot of people, and my heart goes out for them. And that's one reason why I got into this relationship coaching, because I wanted to help. So when you talk about situations like financial dependency and stuff like that, a lot of people are struggling. I talked to Andre, who goes to Atlanta a lot. If you go to Atlanta, you see the people living under the trees in the winter with tents and stuff. It is bad. How do you help? Do your heart go out to these people?
Right. So if you can be full of resourceful information to direct them to the Red Cross and to other places, and that's totally different. I'm all for providing assistance and directions and guidance, and then making sure that they are aware it don't have to be like this. I want to make sure you know the difference. You don't just have to live with someone that's sexually taking advantage of you. Well, they're providing you a place to stay. There's other options.
Yeah, but
covenant homes and different things.
What's
But
that
we're
verse?
talking about. Go ahead,
Angela. What's that verse that says if you tell a person be warmed and be filled and don't give them anything, you just tell them? Is a verse that says? What's that verse? I know you know it better than me.
Well, you send them away when it's in your power to be able to help them. You send them away.
Yes, and that's the thing. We have to get skin in the game, guys, ladies and gents. We got to get skin in the game. We can't just talk the talk. We got to be able to help people and get skin in the game.
Right.
Yeah, but see, people gotta want to be helped too. Sometimes people know that they're in the wrong and they still do the stuff they do. I mean, unless you seek out help, nobody really can help you, because you have to first identify that there is a problem, that this isn't normal. I wasn't taught something, somebody didn't tell me something, because this doesn't look nor does it feel right. But unless they reach out to you, unless they speak out loud or say something to someone that's going to give them good information and not run them in the ground, they're never going to get the help that they need. Because this topic, I mean, if that's how you want to work your relationship, have an open relationship where your dude or your female got a sugar mama, sugar daddy, and everybody know, hey, have that. That's your business. That's your prerogative. But in the real world, and even in the biblical world, it's one man and one woman. It's one. It's one man to one woman. It's not that if I can't get what I need from you, if you can't pay the bills, but you can lay down you can lay that down. I'm just gonna step outside. No, that it doesn't work like that. Everything you need, it should be in that one person. There's no wiggle room. There's no room for error. If I can't get what I need from my man, first of all, I'm not gonna step out. I'm gonna cut my ties. Now, I'm saying that for me because I'm not married. But if I was married, I would seek counseling. I would communicate with him, and
that's number one.
Huh?
I said that communication is number one. Let's see where
Right.
we're going to go from here.
Right. And then you communicating with my partner, my spouse. And then if that didn't work, if we still need a little more help, then we see outside counseling. But at the end of the day, if we can't come to some type of agreement, it's time to cut our losses, because I can't be in a relationship, especially a marriage, and you feel as if there's some that I'm not fulfilling every need in your life. I can't, I mentally can't deal with that, because I would feel insufficient.
Glenda, you just hit a trigger in me, Glenda. You just hit a trigger on that one. There's some marriages where one partner said, I'm just not gonna do it. There's a need, they're just not gonna feel. They said, I'm just not gonna do it. Period.
You're right. You're right.
So what do you do in those situations?
What are you talking about? Let's back it up.
Let's say you're in a marriage, and let's say you have a desire that the wife or husband can and should fulfill, and the wife or the husband decide, I'm not doing it. Period.
It won't be any need for counseling, because if the person is already adamant and is and telling you right now, right off the rip, I'm not gonna do, I don't want to talk about this no more. I'm not gonna change. I won't waste my copay going to a counselor to try to get additional help. I would just, okay, well, how you want to separate? Because I can't deal with this. I mean, okay. I'm not going to move out my house, or I'm not going to leave my house to you. Look, we're going to have to split everything down the middle, and we have to go our separate ways, because I mentally cannot. I love myself too much to have to share you with someone else. That's not right.
He's talking about inside of a relationship, and he wants one thing.
So if I'm talking about inside, I'm not talking about cheating. I'm talking about inside relationship. You and your husband, or you and your wife together, and let's say for whatever reason the wife says, "I'm not going to do this," or the husband, "I'm not going to do that," and it's within the scope of marriage, and they're not going to.
Yeah, okay, all right, but if that, you got to be on the same page. If that's disrespectful to you, because I want this, but that's not to you. I mean, to you, that's disrespectful. Then you got to come to some terms. That's a give and take. For instance, there was a situation where we were doing some counseling, and the man wanted the woman to lick him between his toes. That's a lie.
Hey, whatever floats your boat.
And see, that's what I'm saying. That's what
between the toes. And she said, no, that was disrespectful to her.
Well, that's part. Matter of fact, that was part of my devotional reading this morning, where it said in the Bible, in Deuteronomy, what the thing says.
Deuteronomy talk about licking toes.
Yeah, no. About if the wife doesn't do something and the dishonor husband don't do something the husband don't want, the husband, it can give her a letter of divorce, and then he can put her out.
Yes, absolutely.
But not licking the toes in between the toes.
It didn't give us.
You got to have the whole context of that. You read the whole context of that. That's even when back in those times, even in Moses' day, Moses said, "Give her a bill of divorcement because she burnt the bacon. Give me a break."
Yeah,
for divorce for any dumb thing. Yeah. You got to you got to keep that stuff in context. Now,
correct. But that was kind of unique, because that was part of my devotional this morning. I said,
right.
Wow. But go ahead.
Laura, you want whatever done between the two. You want to be respectful. If it's something that's disrespectful to you or to me, then you don't. And if you feel like you got to go outside to get that, then go ahead. Bye-bye. That's a ghost. Yep. I learned that from you. Ghost. That's a deal breaker. So if you want to go and get that, and let's see how it works for you down the road. Bye-bye.
Go ahead, Glenda. The other Glenda. The Glenda.
So somebody else in here?
Yeah, Glenda.
I dealt with a lot of different things with my ex, but you have to figure out what's going to be a deal breaker. And I know cheating is not good, but you have to figure out what's a deal breaker, what you absolutely will put up with and what you won't put up with. And I don't know about them toes. I didn't have that problem.
I mean, 'cause some stuff is just perversion. It's just perverted.
Yeah.
You go on with that. You go and get that wherever you gonna get fulfilled for that. You see you later.
Leave them toes alone. Go get a pedicure.
It
Go
was
get
just
a
a
pedicure.
situation. I mean, let's just
Yeah, were you finished, Glenda? Were you finished?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, all right. Let's go continue. This next subject is a great one. And before I say it, I don't want anybody to call any names, please. Just you can say the action, but don't call no name. The next one is celebrity scandals and public perception of it. Okay, use examples of celebrities and show how public figures are handling infidelity and societal reaction to it. Right now, the internet and stuff is trending, buzzing. A lot of stuff is going on now. A lot of stuff is going on now in terms of celebrities with infidelity and stuff. So a lot of times people feel that celebrities kind of set the pace for the rest of society, for culture, for a lot of culture. They see what celebrities do and follow that suit. Because there was a celebrity that right now is hot in the news, and he's doing some stuff with parties and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of people are taken back by that. What are some of your thoughts about the power of celebrities?
okay. Well, they got to follow the same rule book that has been set, and they put their pants on one leg at a time, like you put yours. And you don't look to
Amen.
them for your counsel. You look to the book. Things have not changed. And that's why you get into all of this other stuff. Because you want to deviate from what has been set in place for us.
Yes.
I don't care if you're a celebrity. I don't care if you the household name, this country, that country, or whatever. I don't care how far you're known. Everybody's gonna have to give an account. Every bucket on its own bottom.
Okay.
Yes.
You're correct.
You shouldn't look for celebrity. They
Because
need
especially the
just
rap
much help
culture.
as you need. All they got is money, a little more money.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. This is the last subject we're going to go. We're right at 9:57. So this is the last subject, the last topic. Topic: the future of marriage. Engage in a discussion that involves concept of marriage and infidelity. What are some of the cultural norms now? How do you feel about marriage right now? What's the state of marriage right now? Anybody want to chime in? Cheryl, you haven't said much tonight. You want to chime in on that? What's the future of marriage right now?
What do you mean? What's the future of marriage?
What if the people getting married as fast as they're divorcing, or what are some of the thoughts? What are some of the cultural and society shift influencing relationship dynamics in marriage today?
I think it's the trick of the enemy. I think the enemy is setting us up that God didn't intend for us to have multiple partners, and that a man and woman was supposed to marry and multiply. That's the way God had it. But the world now is coming to that they want several partners and they don't want to get married anymore. They don't want to take care of their kids. They don't want to take care of their wives. They want to do everything else but settle down with one woman and do whatever, with just that one person. So I just think it's all a trick of the enemy, that he's coming in and trying to deceive us and make
You're
us feel
absolutely
like
right.
that marriage just doesn't count anymore. But
Mhm.
it was a real big thing at the beginning with Adam and Eve, so I just think that the devil is tricking the world right now, and we're falling for it. Well, some people are falling for it, because it's a no deal for me. I can't be with someone that can't settle down and wants just me. If I can't fulfill everything, I'd rather be alone.
Got that right. Say that again.
Say it again. You're right.
And it's not just about just the sex. It's so much more in a relationship than the sex.
It
So
sure is.
things can
Yes.
be fixed, and you can work around anything. If you love that person enough and that person loves you enough, you'll find ways to get around that. You don't have to step outside the house. You step out because you desire to and you want to, not because you need to or you have to have it. There's so many other things you can do.
That is true.
Guys, it's 9:59, so we got to wrap this in. Glenda, you want to close it out or you want me to close it out?
You can go ahead. You're on a roll.
All right, everybody, we want to thank you for your participation. Laura, you want to say something right quick because you lit up?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, then, guys, we appreciate the conversation. This was a good one. You brought a lot of great topics. We covered a lot of things. Andre, we want to thank you for bringing this topic up. That was a great one. We covered about dual desires. We covered about unfulfilled needs. We covered about financial stability. We talked about the physical necessity. We talked about mental health. And we talked about hidden identities. We talked about staying in a relationship for comfort. We talked about the financial dependency. We talked about celebrities, and we talked about the future of marriage. Guys, final thoughts are, we love you all. Thank you. See you next week. Next Sunday at 9. See you then. Thank you. Goodbye. Good night.
Goodbye.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.